everyone, Felipe here. So as you guys know, we're here to keep you up to date with current market news, teachings, and everything tech. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about Supermicrocomputer Inc., which is one of the tech companies that really blew up earlier this year due to the crazy AI hype, right? And this company is actually inside the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100. So this company stock has had quite a wild ride this year. Pretty much going from like freaking 350 a share all the way to almost $1,200 a share. In the last couple of months has gotten hammered due to some sketchy stuff they've been doing. And I'm gonna go a little bit into a report on kind of some of those allegations and the sketchy stuff this company is doing. So kind of looking at their numbers here, which this is a little easier than, going through the actual financial reportings, which can be kind of some long freaking documents. You can go to one of these financial websites, put in the stock ticker you want to look at, then go into the financials, and then you got a snapshot of their numbers. So they've grown quite a bit over the last couple of years. Kind of like an upward growth there. So that's good to see. Their cost of revenue is pretty high, meaning they have small margins. Pretty much they walk away with less money after all is said and done. This is in thousands, so this is like 14,900,000,000 revenue, and then the cost of that revenue is 12,800,000,000. It's quite a large number. So total expenses 13,677,000,000. So here's where I say they spend a lot of money to make money, so the margins are small, meaning they walk away with less after all is said and done. Although they have seen quite a bit of growth. Net interest income is negative, so it seems like they actually lose money. But this is not uncommon with a lot of these tech companies, even though they have crazy stock valuations, right? That's just kind of how some of this stuff works. But from what I'm seeing here is this company pretty much runs on leverage, right? Runs on debt and shareholder equity. Pretty much is how this company's around. Otherwise, probably wouldn't. So this is Hindenburg Research. They're a hedge fund. These guys are quite amazing in how deep they go into doing research on positions they take, companies they short, and so forth. They're pretty well known for shorting companies, but these guys use some interesting strategies to get all this information, such as interviewing previous executives, previous employees for a company. Scuttlebutt, which that's what it's called, which was created by Phil Fisher in the early 1900s. He's one of Warren Buffett's mentors. One of the guys that really changed the game for a lot of people, providing a lot of valuable knowledge. So it's interesting to see this is one of the strategy these guys use. So kind of some of the stuff they disclose here, where this is legit, and considering the resources Hindenburg Research has, these guys didn't play around getting this information. So found glaring accounting red flags, evidence of undisclosed related party transaction sanctions, and export control failures and customer issues. So it seems like a big part of these Supermicro's computers issues lately is they are not very good at keeping their customers. And they've been evading sanctions, right? They've been selling their products to companies on the U.S. sanction list, which is literally breaking the law, right? That's a big no-no. It's something they seem to have been doing. So improper revenue recognition, recognizing incomplete sales, and circumventing of internal accounting controls. So this is freaking accounting manipulation, again, breaking the law. That's some really serious stuff. They have circular relationships with other companies that are pretty much owned by the CEO's family members, which is Ablecom, Computeware. So they pretty much do business with these companies, right? So what we got here, so in 2006, Supermicro pleaded guilty to a felony count of exporting banned components to Iran. So they've done this stuff in the past, and they're literally doing it again. It's quite amazing. So when Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022 February, the US government imposed stringent restrictions and bans on exports to Russia's high-performing computers and components. So there's sanctions placed on Russia, right, where US companies should not be selling them these computer hardware products, such as what Super Micro does is they sell servers, right, and hardware. And it seems like from what these guys are saying, their exports to Russia have spiked 3 times since the invasion of Ukraine. So they're violating sanctions. That's a big no-no. That's no good. One of the biggest importers of Supermicro product in Russia is a supplier to one of Russia's largest supercomputers at a one secret, now sanctioned research center. The importer, Niagara Computers, has received at least 46 million worth of Supermicro products since the start of the Ukrainian war, Russia-Ukraine war for data. So it makes sense, right? Russia that gets placed on the sanction list. There's a lot of demand for these products over there. So that creates a black market. And, this company is willing to take that crazy risk to make some extra money. But they are breaking the law, which is not good. So they seem to be losing a lot of their customers to competitors such as Dell. And then there is what customers, they're called hyperscaler, which they're just massive in the industry, such as Tesla, Amazon's AWS, DigitalOcean, GMI. These are just big players in the industry that they're losing to their competitors. It's interesting how they put here recidivist, which is basically means a criminal that keeps committing the same crime over and over again, which kind of makes sense considering they've done this stuff in the past. So what they sell is basically enterprise data centers, cloud computing, artificial intelligence, 5G, and edge computing, and they provide these services to other big corporations, right? Pretty much what Supermicro does. So Dell Technologies and Hewlett-Packard, which are some of their big competitors. Sell-side analysis have raised concerns that Dell has been selling its AI servers at near zero margins. So that's how competitive this market is, or this industry is, that these companies are literally making no money to get the market share, right? They're literally making no money to fight for the market share. That is a crazy competitive market that this company's in. So they have other competitors in the market. Here you can kind of see their gross margins have dropped, meaning they're walking away with less after factoring in all the total expenses that the business has. They've been delisted in the past. In 2018, the stock plunged after that delisting, and it had to do with a lot of the sketchy accounting stuff they were doing, which just seems like they're doing that stuff all over again. Here they say there's a possibility they're channel surfing. What the hell is channel surfing? Is a deceptive revenue reporting practice whereby companies inflate sales through overshipping and over invoicing products to distributors or customers who may not have ordered, needed, or been able to sell the product. Super sketchy. The SEC stated that the company improperly accelerated revenue recognition and reporting in multiple ways, including recognizing revenue before delivering goods, sending goods before specified delivery dates, sending incomplete and misassembled goods to customers, and improperly changing shipment terms, among other methods. So if all this is legit, what this company is doing is literally insane. It's crazy considering they're not a small company, they're a big company. To be doing all this sketchy stuff. So in the past, when they were caught, doing doing accounting manipulation, evading sanctions to make sales. The executives that were on the board at the time got let go of, right? Because I mean, they were really the ones in control of all the sketchiness that was going around. It seems like, or on these guys' investigation, or I mean, this is public stuff basically. Almost all of them are back. Almost all of the people that were let go, that were pausing, that were the cause of this malfeasance, are back. So all the sketchy people that were doing the stuff in the past are pretty much back in the company. You would think that you'd want to, change that up, considering you did some really sketchy stuff in the past. You wouldn't want to, bring in back the same people that caused it. So Abelcom and Compuware are owned by the brothers of Charles Liang, and pretty much majority the reason for those companies existing is that they just they put together the parts that Supermicro computer creates, right? Which is interesting because they don't necessarily have to do that. They can be created in-house, but they source it out to those companies. So there's some interesting stuff going on there. Revenue was incorrectly allocated to hardware sales rather than services in the quarter ending December 2022 to artificially boost reported profit margins. Revenue was prematurely booked even when equipment could not be delivered to and installed for customers. Revenue was prematurely booked even when products were faulty or not ready for sale. So this could be why they're losing a lot of customers. Half the stuff they're selling doesn't even work, and apparently they're not very good at keeping their customers. So yeah, here it just goes into them doing that channel surfing, which is pretty much fraud. Supermicro's relationship with its family-owned related parties seem oddly circular. I wonder if that could possibly be a round robin where companies just pump each other to make their finances look better, which that is not good. So Abelcom manufactures approximately 91.9% of the company chassis in 2023. So pretty much those companies just exist to put together the parts of that Supermicro produces, right? Which is interesting because then those parts are delivered and sometimes they don't even work. And considering they have a company that literally just does that is insane. So here it just goes into them having affiliations with other startups, but not really disclosing that, which is not, I mean, if you're a publicly traded company, that's stuff you should disclose to shareholders. So all the things they're doing seems to be trying to pump up their stock prices, which makes sense, although they're doing it in a legal way, right? But I mean, it makes sense in the sense that this company is pretty much just around because of shareholder equity and all the debt they're using, all that borrowed money they're using, right? So in Supermicro's core US and European markets, which account for 71% of its revenue, we found a slew of large satisfied customers who had moved business away from Supermicro. So this just goes into them losing a lot of market share to their big competitors, which are Dell and so forth. Here it goes into them losing Tesla as a customer, which you can say that's a big player in the game. Also, it goes into them pissing off Jeff Bezos, which is, I mean, that doesn't seem very smart, right? And losing AWS's business, which that is a big player in the industry, right? I mean, Amazon just pretty much owns everything, but they're big players in the cloud service too. So this is basically from former employees, sales people in that worked for Supermicro. They quote, "It's their Achilles heel. It's just horrible. Salespeople hated to sell any of their on-site services." So it didn't seem like a great working environment. either their service center sucks, they're terrible. I mean, the whole of the post support team, this is for a company that does 5.5 billion in a quarter, right? The whole of the post support team is 20 people in the US. That's interesting. In 2006, they pleaded guilty to felony counts of exporting bad evasions, which they're doing again by selling products to Russia. So they're literally doing what they did in the past, all over again. And how would they not, you know, get any consequences from literally breaking the law? That would be crazy to me. So in 2006, they were selling components to Iran, which were on the sanction list for the U.S. And the fine was $150,000. That's probably why they did it. That's a petty ass fine considering the amount of money they must have made from that. So that is so interesting. A fine of $150,000 when they probably made millions and millions of dollars from those sales. Crazy stuff. So Russia's basically who they have been selling to, that is on a sanction list. So it means they're breaking the law right there, right? So they have more than 45,000 imports and export transactions, which they found through this trades park web service, which seems pretty interesting if you want to track a imports and exports individually for companies. It's a pretty interesting service if someone wants to do that. So after the invasion of Ukraine between February 24th, 2022 and June 30th, 2024, the end of Supermicro's fiscal year, the export of Supermicro products to Russia spiked. Approximately 210 million of Supermicro products were shipped to Russia in that period. It apparently contravention of U.S. exports banned. So this is kind of crazy. The amount of items they've been selling to Russia, and then they're using third-party exporters, right, to kind of like hide the fact that they're doing that, which is even more sketchy. Like the sketchiness of this company is insane. So it just goes into that they've been selling three times more of their products to Russia since the beginning of the war. That's pretty crazy. And they're using third-party companies to do so, right? Try to mask what they're doing. But you know, you can't hide anything these days, you know. Everything is freaking online. Everything's tracked, you know. Cannot hide anything. So Niagara Computers, which is a Russian company that has a supercomputer. It's one of the big companies they've been selling to, which are on the sanction list. And then here it just goes into who's the owner of Niagara Computers, and kind of bit into how they were using third parties for exporting their products. This is apparently a company on one of the sanction lists, and the dude on the website is like, "Hey, I bought a Supermicro product." So I mean, they're not even hiding this stuff. They're literally just doing all this stuff like they really don't care. So there just goes into them supporting a company that's violating human rights in China and selling them products. I mean, at the end of the day, that unless they're sanctioned, it's not really against the law. It's just, you know, they're kind of supporting that, right? Some people, you know, would not like that. So yeah, that's kind of like what these guys go into, and that's interesting because this is a big ass company, and they're literally, if all this is correct, they are They're literally breaking the law. And it's not something they've done. I mean, it's something they've done in the past already, but they're literally doing it again. So the way I'm seeing it, if they were delisted in the past, they can be delisted again. And considering the fact these companies are in the S&P 500 and in the NASDAQ 100 indexes, right? Which is crazy to me that a company like this would be allowed to be in these indexes, right? The big time US indexes. So yeah, with that, I'll leave you guys with an interesting quote, which goes like this. If engineers never learned from history, every generation of students would be condemned to reinvent the wheel. Engineers and scientists do learn from history. And so we have seen heart transplants and human beings walking on the moon. In economics and finance, however, the human race still starts every generation with flint axes. Super interesting quote there. Thank you guys for listening in. I hope I provided some interesting information. I learned a lot from reading this thing here, such as strategies and how these big institutions do their due diligence when seeking to short these companies. But with that being said, if you guys would like to hear more, stay tuned, and I'll see you on the next one. Have a good one.